This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin FREAKIN.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol, live. It's a freaking Wednesday. It is also the Trans Day of Visibility, thus the banner above. One time when I was in college, I had a show called the Friday Night Freak Show, and there was a young lady in our area that went viral for she owned somebody on Twitter. This was like in the beginning of owning people on Twitter. She owned some bigot on Twitter. It was a trans girl. I invited her to come on the show, and she said, "What's the name of your show?" And I said, "Well, it's the Friday Night Freak Show," and she blocked me completely. I'm like, no, you're not the freak. You're not the freak. No. I'm the freak. No, I wanted to come on and give you props for owning a bigot. I'm on your side. I felt so bad. I wish that I could apologize to her, because I was a big fan of her work. As you guys all know, I love owning bigots. Woo! Warlord, good evening. On tonight's show, we may watch it twice. It is so good, we might have to watch it twice. Matt Gaetz was on Tucker Carlson last night. The interview is insane. Blunder Mifflin, are you? Is that an Office joke? A play on an Office joke? We're also gonna watch some testimony from day 3 of the Derek Chauvin trial, taking place currently in Minneapolis. The cop not accused, he absolutely fucking did it. Killed George Floyd. We all saw it with our own fucking eyes. We're going to see body camera footage from the moment never before seen, first time today in the courtroom, of his perspective as he's killing George Floyd. We're going to see body camera footage right after they loaded Floyd into an ambulance. Plus another witness breaks down in tears. We're going to check in on former President Donald Trump, who did not have a good day today at all. Yes, the body cam footage is probably on Daily Mail. I've got it all ready to go. We're going to watch it here in a little bit. But we're going to start off because today is Trans Visibility Day. We're going to start off President Biden. First presidential proclamation on Trans Day of Visibility. President Joe Biden on Wednesday issued the first presidential proclamation recognizing Transgender Day of Visibility. The day is dedicated to celebrating transgender people and bringing awareness to the discrimination and violence they face every day. There are numerous faux pas that I made regarding the freak show. I don't consider it a faux pas, but the whole stripper incident thing went down in infamy. In his proclamation, Biden said Trans Day of Visibility recognizes the generations of activism by transgender and non-binary people. Their trailblazing work has given countless transgender individuals the bravery to live openly and authentically, Biden wrote. This hard-fought progress is also shaping an increasingly accepting world in which peers at school, teammates and coaches on the playing field, colleagues at work, and allies in every corner of society are standing in support and solidarity with the transgender community. Very nice. I appreciate having a president that does things like that and also takes action. The Pentagon announcing today they are reversing the Trump policy of discriminating against transgender troops. Now, I don't know why anybody would want to serve in the military, but if you would like to go serve in the military, and if there is an interview with a trans person on Vice that says they like being in the military because they're not judged for being trans in the military. They're just another person on the line. And that they felt like it was a vacation from their horror being in the military and serving overseas. So, hey, I get it. We have a high number of trans people that like to serve in the military, and they should be allowed if they want to. That is a separate issue from my problems with imperialism and the military itself. The Pentagon on Wednesday will sweep away Trump-era policies that largely ban transgender people from serving in the military, issuing new rules that offer them wider access to medical care and assistance with gender transition. This is according to defense officials giving an interview to the Associated Press. The new department regulations allow transgender people who meet military standards to enlist and serve openly in their self-identified gender. And they will be able to get medically necessary transition-related care authorized by law. The changes come after a 2-month Pentagon review aimed at developing guidelines for the new policy, which was announced by President Joe Biden just days after he took office in January. Also coming at us, Biden announcing today the next phase, his infrastructure bill.
I have nothing against millionaires and billionaires. I believe American capitalism. I want everyone to do well. But here's the deal.
That's another thing that I want to get into here. So many people calling Biden a socialist. Biden was the senator from Delaware. That is the credit card capital of the country. If you get a bill from a credit card company, more than likely it is coming from Delaware because of their loose financial regulations. Biden is bought and paid for by the U.S. financial sector. So how the fuck, you dumbass right-wingers, how is Biden a socialist? Biden represents the antithesis of socialism. But I'm convinced right-wingers don't fucking know what the word socialism means. They think it means authoritarianism. They use the word interchangeably with authoritarianism. So that's just an assumption on my part. I'm not exactly sure, but hey, you know, it's like I always say, right-wingers are fucking morons. So back to President Biden. It means commie, exactly. Commie, socialist, they don't fucking know. They don't know the difference between the words.
Right now, middle-class couple of five.
Back to Biden and his commie plan to give us roads.
Making a combined salary of, say, $110,000, $120,000 a year, pays 22 cents for each additional dollar they earn in federal income tax. But a multinational corporation that builds a factory abroad, brings it home and sells it, they pay nothing at all.
He is kind of sound like Bernie.
We're going to raise the corporate tax. It was 35%, which is too high.
No, it's not.
5 years ago, it should go down to 28%.
Now, you're not sounding like Bernie anymore.
We're going to raise it back to up to 28%. No one should be able to complain about that. It's still
why
what
can't
that
we
rate was
correct me if I'm wrong, chat. I believe it was 37, 38 under Clinton. Bush knocked it down to like 35. I want to say. Or no, Bush might have knocked it down to 20-something, and then Obama brought it back up to 35. If I'm not mistaken on that. But like, why can't we go back to at least the Clinton rates? Everybody agrees the economy was good in the 90s, so can we at least go back to like 37, 38%? Biden saying 35% is too high. What the fuck?
Between World War II and 2017. Just doing that one thing will generate $1 trillion in additional revenue over 15 years. In 2019, an independent analysis found that there are 91, let me say it again, 91 Fortune 500 companies, biggest companies in the world, including Amazon, that use various loopholes
Ethereal
so they pay
dumpling.
not a single solitary penny.
Maybe I'm just hungry, but I'm interested in the name. Ethereal dumpling. How does an ethereal dumpling fill you up? How does one receive sustenance from a dumpling that is ethereal? I'm very interested in this. My mind is blown. I don't know about his penis and Uranus, but I would kind of watch this part like he might get up behind you and sniff you. That's one of the things about the allegations against Joe Biden. It's dumpling for your soul, is what you're saying. One of the things about Joe Biden is that he actually doesn't have, other than the Tara Reade allegation, there's not like fucking Trump with 30 fucking people saying, yeah, nourishes your spirit. I'm not exactly a cake person. I'm more of a brownie pie, cobbler kind of guy. I'm trying to understand. That's why I ask, because I'm very curious, and that's the only way that you learn in this life. Ask questions. Ooh, everybody's oohing. Heather, what are you talking? 1 or 30? I'm not sure. Are we talking about dumplings? Oh, what is a dumpling to you if you're from England? Because a dumpling to you isn't what it is to me, is it? Because like I'm thinking like chicken and dumplings. I'm from the South, or you know I've been exposed to Asian dumplings. But I don't what England's like, you know, you call fucking biscuits cookie. I'm a brownie batter kind of guy. I don't bake brownies. I just heat up brownie batter. I enjoy parts of the South. You don't like that Yankee trash. Now let's not trash on the Yankees. They got plenty of yes, I agree. I understand about it. Thank you. Like I'm sitting here holding a bong. I forgot what I was talking about. I will agree with you. The allegations against Joe Biden, Tara Reade should have been taken seriously. It was absurd the way the media treated her. They blacked her out other than a few outlets in the primaries. I don't know. God, I wish that it had an effect. But I mean, there is a difference between Biden just seems like a handsy old man. Not that that's okay. But I don't think he's raped anybody. What a fucking low bar in American politics. Looking at you, Matt Gaetz. By the way, stick around. We're going to watch the entire interview. Matt Gaetz on Tucker Carlson. Matt Gaetz has been accused of trafficking underage girls. The lowest of bars. It's a fucking... And this is... Dennis Hastert was a child molester. The former Speaker of the House. This is like... It is insane discussing politics. Like, can we get the baby boomers out of power? I think that will go a very long way. And while we're on the topic, I haven't talked about him in a few days. More allegations has come out against him. Andrew Cuomo, you should have resigned fucking weeks ago. Fuck you. You're a piece of shit. But dude, stick around. Also, we're gonna watch plenty of rapists here tonight. We've got a Trump interview. Facebook took it down. We're gonna check in with old Trumpy boy. And his daughter-in-law, Laura. I was never a fan of Andrew Cuomo. The people of New York, you had a chance to avoid all of this. You could have elected Cynthia Nixon. Just saying. All right, Biden.
And federal income tax. I don't want to punish him. That's just wrong. That's just wrong. A fireman, a teacher paying 22%. Amazon and
we've got an accused rapist on.
Zero in federal taxes. I'm going to put an end to that. Here's how we'll do it. We're establishing.
But once again, this election
U.S. corporation
changed my perspective on things. It's not about Biden. Having Biden in office empowered Bernie Sanders. It empowered the squad. There's no question that it's better for us to have Biden as our foil than it was to have Trump. And I'm kicking myself. I was wrong in 2016. I should have voted for Hillary. Hillary would have been a better foil for the left. It would have been, and we might have gotten something done. Hillary might have listened to us on something. So, unless something changed, I'm probably never not voting Democrat the rest of my life. And it's someone who has voted independent most of the elections. Why would you eat a dick? A dick dumpling? Is that what? I don't even know what's going on. This chat's gone off the rails. Almost like that Matt Gaetz interview we're going to be watching here in just a little bit.
Of 21%. We're going to level the international playing field. That alone will raise $1 trillion over 15 years.
$1 trillion.
We'll also eliminate deductions by corporations for offshoring jobs and shifting assets overseas. You do that, you pay a penalty. You don't get a reward, in my plan. And use.
Is that some sort of a sea chanty or something you're using over here? Wafts been putting their cooks and kettles for meaty drinks and what the fuck is going on? I don't know what's meaty drinks. I don't know. Fucking they got blood pudding and shit. Remember, he's from the UK. They might actually fucking wring out some meats and make them into drinks. Now I'm getting all racist against people in the UK. Oh shit. I'm either too stoned for this or not stoned enough. I don't know.
Use the savings from that to give companies tax credits to locate manufacturing here and manufacturing and production here in the United States. And we'll significantly ramp up the IRS enforcement against corporations who either fail to report their incomes or underreport. It's estimated that could raise hundreds of billions of dollars. All this adds up to more.
Speaking of that, there was a piece, God, I don't remember, it might have been Vox, in the last week or two, about the cases that the IRS chooses to pursue and how they're predominantly coming after poor people just because it's easy. They don't have to fight legal battles. They don't have the resources to actually audit rich people because rich people have lawyers and fight it. And the IRS has been just put in a stranglehold and doesn't have the resources to go head to head with their lawyers. So the only people they can audit is poor people. It's insane.
Opposed to spend in just 15 years. It's honest. It's fiscally responsible. And by the way, as the experts will tell you, it reduces the debt, the federal debt over the long haul. But let me be clear. These are my ideas on how to pay for this plan. If others have additional ideas, let them come forward. I'm open to other ideas, so long.
I gave you another idea. Raise it back to the tax rates at least when Clinton was in office. I don't think that should be a fucking hard sell. Everybody agrees that economy was good. Overall, believe me, I know about the critiques, the structural critiques. I'm not discounting that. Biden picks Senator Manchin's wife to co-chair Appalachian Board. Smooth move on his part. This happened a few days ago. I've been wanting to talk about it. President Joe Biden is nominating Gail Manchin, the wife of West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin, who I believe we need to fucking primary. I might very well have some viewers that are in West Virginia right now. You guys need to get on that. Joe Manchin needs to feel the heat from the left. This is a stick and carrot kind of thing. The left's got to come at him with the stick. Biden comes at him with the carrot. Gail Manchin, 73, has held multiple government positions linked to education in a state where her husband is a political force. A former teacher, she was on the West Virginia Board of Education from 2007 to 2015 and served a 2-year term as its president. Manchin was also the state's Secretary of Education and the Arts in 2017 and 2018, but was removed from the post by West Virginia Governor Jim Justice after releasing a statement critical of a bill to dismantle the department. That makes sense. Jim Justice is a pretty gigantic piece of shit. You spend more on welfare cheats than is actually defrauded from Social Security. That sounds about right. Coming at you from a publication from across the pond, The Guardian ran a piece that I found interesting. This was an opinion piece, clearly. Of course, it would be a guy that looks like that wrote this. Joe Biden is giving left parties the world over a masterclass in how to use power. You may not have noticed because he is, what's this dude's name? Because this is his opinion. This is from Jonathan Friedland. You may not have noticed because he is not nearly as in your face as his predecessor, but Joe Biden is currently teaching a lesson to left and center left parties around the world. True, it's one they should have learned long ago, but still they should be paying the closest attention. Because Biden is delivering a master class. I'm not referring to, are you telling me that The Guardian is a pretty, like, it's a center-right? Lines with the, what, Liberal Party? Labor Party. I'm not referring to his debut White House press conference on Thursday in which he showed that for all the tripping up the steps of Air Force One or the supposed senior moments, his political instincts remain sharply intact. Just to cite one illustrative moment, Biden was asked whether he would be running for re-election in 2024 and whether his opponent would be Donald Trump. He replied with a half joke, saying he had no idea whether he'd face Trump and indeed no idea whether there'd be a Republican Party. Corbyn was a very flawed candidate for numerous reasons, but also there were some very disingenuous attacks on him. So Joe Biden giving a masterclass to leftist parties. Meanwhile, in Israel, this is a bit of an old story, but I really wanted to talk about this. It's terrifying. Israel's election were a disaster for the left. Left-wing parties in Israel were almost completely wiped out in this week's parliamentary elections as Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu negotiates the most far-right coalition in the country's history. With almost 92%, and this was an already right-wing country. With almost 92% of votes counted, in Israel's fourth parliamentary vote. Now, they probably have all been counted. This was published on March 25th, so almost a week ago. The country's two liberal parties, Labor and Meretz, won just 13 out of 120 seats. Meanwhile, Netanyahu's right-wing Likud party looks set to become the largest party, winning 30 seats in parliament. So I guess the left parties in Israel have been taking note of the masterclass that Joe Biden's been teaching. North Korea threatens U.S. with nation's invisible physical power and says gangsta Biden is taking a first wrong step. One of the country's senior officials branded the president a gangster and who has taken a first wrong step following his comments about the tests. Kim Jong-un's regime test-fired 2 short-range missiles off its eastern coast in the first ballistic launches since Biden took office. The former Air Force commander has been seen as a key figure in the development of the North's missile program. He said Pyongyang expresses deep apprehension over Biden's remarks that were openly revealing his deep-seated hostility towards the country. Thursday's launches, this would have been about a week ago, followed a statement by Kim Jong-un's powerful sister, who warned Washington to refrain from causing a stink if it wants to sleep in peace for the next 4 years. Don't even get me started about the U.S.'s connections with Saudi Arabia. Holy shit. I could talk all day about that. But unfortunately, we're going to have to buckle in because we've got Donald Trump interview. Laura Trump apparently had her father-in-law on for an interview. This was pulled from Facebook. She has posted it to Rumble, where we will be watching it. If it works. Maybe it will work better if we actually go over to Rumble. All these right-wing platforms suck. It's possible it doesn't work well with Microsoft Edge. Let's try Google. Oh! Whoa, shit. Is it gonna work? We have to let it buffer for just a second. Shoo! You mean the former First Lady, Ivanka? Is that who you are referring to as producer Dave likes to call her?
And welcome to The Right View. I'm Laura Trump, and I am so honored to have a very special guest with me this evening. He really needs no introduction, but 75 million of you out there voted for him. You've been dying to hear from him, so here with me
Have we?
this evening,
Have we really?
Our 45th President of the United States, my father-in-law, President Donald J. Trump. Well, I just want to start by asking you the question that I get asked the most.
There's already a cut there.
How are you doing? How has it been down here?
He rambled and they cut it out already, I can tell.
Beautiful state. It's a well-run state. We had a tremendous election result in Florida, as you know, despite millions and millions of dollars being spent against us. And we had a big victory, I guess unprecedented victory.
I am not high enough for this
In many
shit.
states, and we should have had in all states, but I guess that's still, in my opinion, being looked at by a lot of people. It was
No, it's not.
third world country voting system, and it's a shame. It's an absolute shame, but it's being looked at by a lot of different people. But we had a fantastic election. You know, I ran twice, and we did better.
If you missed it, Mike Lindell says Trump will be back in office by August.
But I love Florida. It's just a spectacular place.
Yeah, well, a well-run state, we would say. I want to ask you, because it took 65 days for Joe Biden to finally come out and do a press conference. I know you've talked about this a little bit, but you were so transparent with the media.
This motherfucker didn't give a press conference the entire time after he lost.
I remember you would walk out as you were on the way to Marine One and say, let's go, ask me questions, no note cards, nothing. We saw the press conference that Joe Biden had, if you can even call it that.
I'm glad she brought that up. The reason they always did that shit with him under the helicopter was because they wanted to be able to say, no, you misheard him because of the copter. That's the whole reason he was constantly taking questions in front of Marine One. Mike Lindell is incredibly creepy. A lot of people are assuming that he is off the wagon, on the wagon, whichever it is. He's back on the crack. I wouldn't doubt it. He's gone crazy.
Notes, he had printouts with people's faces and names on it, who to call on, who not to call on. What was your takeaway from that press conference?
Well, I think the press conference is probably the least of it. People saw a lot of things happening long prior to the press conference, and even the trip up the stairs, up and down, 3 times. There were a lot of things are going on. So we'll see what happens.
He couldn't walk down a ramp.
It's okay for the sake of the country.
Yeah.
But I think people get it, and I think very importantly, the things that he said, and whether we debated or whether he just made statements, all of those things were not what he's doing. This is more liberal, more radical than Bernie Sanders ever had in mind. Bernie could not be happier, but this is something Bernie would have never suggested what's happening. He never talked about what he's doing to destroy energy, and the Second Amendment now is going to be next. They're going to destroy the Second Amendment. All of the things that they're doing are things, raise taxes at a level, the biggest tax increase in history. Those were not things that were discussed at all during the election.
Yeah, and well, you brought up a good point.
Whoa,
once again, American to see him trip up the stairs so many times.
I wish the candidate he just described was the person that was in the White House right now.
Obsessed with your physical. I remember when you
the
were
politician.
at West Point walking down a slippery slope. There were no handles on either side. I know you had slippery shoes on, so you took your time to go down. For a week straight, all they talked about was, are you fit to be president of the United States, which we know is absolutely.
Now, it is funny that Biden was like, watch me run up ramps, and then fucking fell.
To Joe Biden when it comes to that. I think Americans are a little bit frustrated by that, and I think we should be demanding transparency, especially when it does come to the health of the President of the United States.
Well, when you do speeches, you sort of know if you did well or not well or however it is, and I think
we should demand transparency. She said, talking to the man who hid the fact that he almost died of COVID. They downplayed how sick he was the entire time. And then he came out and did this whole publicity stunt where he took off his mask, covered in makeup on the inside. And the entire time that the camera's on him, he's like, and we have the reports now that his oxygen levels dropped significantly. That they were very worried about him while he was in Walter Reed.
I think I made my best speech, or certainly one of them, at West Point. And it's pouring, raining, beautiful but raining, and it's wet, and it was just a sheet of steel. No pleats in it, no nothing. And it was like an ice skating rink. And the last thing I wanted to do was go down, and I saw that, and
Bitch, I watched fucking Prince.
Put up whoever put
do
it
the
up.
halftime show in heels.
I'm next to a
with it
gentleman with
raining.
rubber shoes on, and a good guy, by the way, the commandant. And I say, General, I'm not grabbing you, but I may have to grab you because this is a sheet of ice. So I went down inch by inch like this. I should have just run down the stairs.
You could
They
have.
made such a big deal,
Yeah.
and they never covered my speech. That was, I thought, one of the best speeches, and they never covered the speech. Never even discussed it. I didn't see it. All they do is they have me walking down inch by inch.
There's
down.
nothing he would be magnificent
I
at.
said, the next time have stairs, please. And it was one of those.
You're right, Curiouser.
But
They're
they
both
covered it
fucking
for
old.
weeks. And this guy falls down 3 times. He couldn't get up. The 3rd time, he didn't know where the hell he was. And it was not on the evening news, other than a couple of networks.
It was all over the fucking place.
ABC, CBS.
Fuck, I played it.
I don't think. And it got almost no coverage. It's incredible. Now, everybody got to see it because one thing, it gets out there one way or the other. But it was actually a pretty
Yes,
sad
was,
situation,
unfortunately.
if you want to know the truth. It was also sad from the standpoint that we don't have freedom of the press anymore.
Yeah, well, that is for sure.
I mean, I remember when Gerald Ford fell
And
down.
like, it is opposite day every day with
That was-
Trump.
well, actually, it helped ruin his presidency. You want to really know the truth. I think it was really, every time you see him, they show him now falling down the stairs. And with Biden, they don't want to show it at all. It is a dishonest media that we have.
Yeah, well, they certainly allowed him to go unchecked throughout the campaign. They never called him out on anything. We know that big tech, social media outlets were
Now, this
censoring
video
Jack Dorsey,
getting
Twitter just
taken
recently
down
said that
was
it
just
was a
the start of
mistake,
Trump's bad
to
day.
censor
Stick with
the
us.
Hunter Biden laptop
Gonna get some
story during the
Schadenfreude.
campaign, which we all knew was such a big deal. We all knew could be used against the Biden family.
Honestly.
If he ever become president of the United States. But maybe give me your take on where we stand in terms of censorship for conservatives, because we are censored.
And what does it say about Laura Trump? We are censored, she says, on her fucking show on Fox News. What does it say about her prowess? That she's able to acquire an interview with Donald Trump like her, 3rd, 4th fucking day on the job? Good for you, Laura Trump. Look at the get.
There is no question, as conservatives, we are censored on social media. They are always fact-checking everything. I feel like you might.
They're
have
always
something coming up. I don't know
fact-checking
if you're ready to
everything.
Make an announcement yet, but that will help allow conservatives to have freedom of speech. Maybe a possible social media platform.
Well, I think the censoring really.
Yeah, that's Eric's wife. That's Eric's wife. I'm gonna say that is Eric Trump's wife. And they're talking about censorship, and they're like, oh, they fact check us. Oh, what? Are you wanting to censor the fact checks on you? Is that what's going on? Once again, that's Eric Trump's wife. We watched Eric Trump last night. Just looked like a complete dweeb. Do you think she pegs him? I'm not king shaming. I'm just like, she seems like the dominant one.
When they didn't show Hunter Biden all of the things that were happening.
A fascist
And you don't wanna do
incest
that. You don't wanna
fuckfest
get
for
somebody in
freedom.
trouble. He had
That is what
But when they
Tucker
didn't show
Carlson
any of that
wants.
during the campaign, they just cut it out, like canceled, I guess you'd call it cancel culture, right? But when they didn't show that, to me that was really the beginning, because it was bad. It's been fake for a long time. But it used to be fake where they'd come up and I'd come up and you'd fight, or somebody else, but you'd fight. And the public can believe one way or the other. They might believe me, they might believe the other side, or they might believe an anchor or whoever's into. But they didn't bring Hunter up. It was just really canceled. And later on, polls came out that showed it would have made a 10-point difference. A 10-point.
What is he even talking about? They talked about it. We talked about Hunter on this stream. I'm a leftist. We talked about Hunter Biden constantly.
And that's whether it's scandalous or whether
The entire time I complained about it like I'd like to be talking about policy. Thank God we have indeed gotten to talk about some policy during the Biden administration. Now that the clown show has been deposed.
By a press release, and everybody's picking it up. It's more elegant as a president, et cetera, et cetera.
He's talking about his tweets that he does as a press release.
About the same. You do less of it because it's a little bit, and you can do longer. You can make it a little bit longer. Not that it should be that much longer. Usually it doesn't have.
I promise you get some Schadenfreude at the end of this. Trump had a really bad day.
I'm looking at, everybody wants me to be on the site because we had 90 million people on one. We had, I think, 36 million people on POTUS. We had sites of 10.
I'm taking it the chat really doesn't want to watch all 18 minutes of this.
Maybe the biggest, but one of the biggest on Facebook. So we had, 200 million people, I guess, or more. So
Trump is canceled. Apparently, he mentions that he is probably going to run for president in 2024. That was the news nugget that came out of that interview, as if we didn't already know that he wasn't going to dangle it in front of everybody all the way up until 2024. I don't think he's going to be the nominee. I think he will be embroiled in multiple legal battles that's going to leave him completely tapped out, and they're starting to come for him like this. U.S. Capitol Police officers sue former President Donald Trump, accusing him of inciting Capitol riot. 2 Capitol Police officers repeatedly assaulted during the Capitol siege have sued former President Donald Trump, accusing him of inciting the riot that left 5 dead and injured more than 100 officers. James Blasingame and Sidney Hemby are seeking damages in excess of $75,000 each. That seems like a lowball amount to me. Maybe they don't think Trump has it. I don't think Trump has it, but he says he's a billionaire. Go for it. They are accusing the former president of gathering and unleashing a mob that ultimately breached the Capitol after violent clashes with officers. Trump's words and conduct leading up to and on January 6, 2021 demonstrated a willful and wanton disregard for and a reckless indifference to James Blasingame and Sidney Hemby's safety and that of their fellow officers. That according to the court documents. Blasingame and Hemby separately described the beatings they suffered at the hands of rioters who allegedly pinned Hemby in a doorway. Oh, this is the guy that we watched the video several times. They showed it during the proceedings as well. Had him pinned in the door, and he's bleeding blood. Bleeding blood. He's spitting up blood. I fucking love wontons. I got a really big fryer. It's kind of like a wok fryer thing. It has a basket and everything. I make wontons in it all the time. Ooh! That's good shit. Adding another layer to Trump's bad day. A court has voided Trump's campaign non-disclosure agreements. Now, I think this was yesterday, to be honest with you. It was. A federal judge ruled Tuesday that a broad non-disclosure agreement that Donald Trump's 2016 presidential campaign required employees to sign is unenforceable. So we're going to hear all kinds of shit coming out now. Oh, I can't wait. The documentaries, the book deals. There's going to be so much information about what went on during the Trump administration. This specifically dealing with the campaign. We absolutely can make crab rangoons for Mania. A federal judge ruled Tuesday that a broad non-disclosure agreement that Donald Trump's 2016 presidential campaign required employees to sign is unenforceable. U.S. District Court Judge Paul Gardefeuille's ruling generally steered clear of the constitutional issues presented by such agreements in the context of political campaigns. Instead, the judge, an appointee of George W. Bush, said the sweeping boilerplate language the campaign compelled employees to sign was so vague that the agreement was invalid under New York contract law. So there you have it. And now, the cherry on top of the Trump bad day. New York prosecutors have subpoenaed the bank records of the Trump Organization's longtime CFO. Now, what this means is they are trying to get him to flip. The Manhattan DA's office subpoenaed the bank records of Trump Org CFO Alan Weisselberg. This is according to the New York Times. Weisselberg is a longtime Trump confidant and has intricate knowledge of his financial dealings. Manhattan prosecutors have subpoenaed the bank records of the Trump Organization CFO. The Manhattan District Attorney's investigation into whether the Trump Organization violated state laws has been heating up for some time, and the Times report indicates a heightened focus on Weisselberg, who was a longtime confidant of former President Donald Trump. I bet there's going to be a hell of a lot of snitching. One can only hope. Now, how long is it going to be until somebody snitches on Matt Gaetz? We're going to talk about Matt Gaetz here in just a little bit. Batshit crazy interview on Tucker Carlson. You guys do not want to miss. We might watch it twice. It's so fucking good. I do not condone the death penalty. Police have ID'd, we played this video last night, the dude that stomped an Asian lady outside of a... And then the people shut the door and locked it. That was... The whole thing is wild, but police have ID'd the suspect for the hate crime. They have arrested him. His name was Brandon Elliott. He was on parole for killing his mother. Elliott is on lifetime parole following his 2019 release from prison after he was convicted of fatally stabbing his mother in 2002. Elliott, who was living at a hotel that serves as a homeless shelter a few blocks from the scene, is facing multiple charges, including felony assault and a hate crime. So, as of 2:30 this afternoon, the New York Police Department's Hate Crime Task Force has arrested the suspect in connection with an attack on a 65-year-old Asian American woman. So yeah, it was this dude in this weird outfit. Now, like, yeah, that's where I overall, I'm against the death penalty. But, like, this motherfucker's on... We know he killed his mom, and now he's on video stomping a woman. But also, like, I don't believe in free will. I do not... I believe that the only way that I could have ever behaved in this world is to have sat here and done this show, that there was no other possibility that could have ever happened. And that you all were destined to be here. And I do not believe in a God. I do not believe in any kind of higher power, but I do not believe that we have free will. We are the product of a whole lot of shit going on up here. So now, knowing that, how do we proceed in a criminal justice system? Knowing this man can't help what he does. Sir, rights for anybody are never stupid. Ban that motherfucker. I don't put up with that shit. We do not put up with transphobia, or we do not put up with racism of any kind. And apparently racism is what this couple experienced on a subway in New York. I can get it to play.
I'm chilling. I have this shit. I'm alive. I'm a fucking beast. I'm part of the 0.30%. I'm built different. I'm fucking built different. I have this shit. I'm alive. Ching Chang Chong, motherfucker. Ching Chang Chong, bitch.
What?
Ching Chang Chong, bitch.
Is that your friend right now? Are you guys friends with him right now? And you guys are cool with him talking about? Do you guys not see what's going on right now and you guys are cool with that?
He was yelling ching ching chong, motherfucker. I don't know what set this guy off. Also, isn't he like?
I'm part of the 0.30%.
Doesn't he look a little Asian?
I'm fucking built different. I have this shit. I'm alive. Ching Chang Chong, motherfucker. Ching Chang Chong, bitch.
This continues our series on
Ching Chang Chong, bitch.
Asian hatred.
Right now?
It seems
Are
to
you
be
guys
in
friends with
vogue
him
here
right
in
now?
America.
And you guys are cool with him talking about? Do you guys not see what's going on right now and you guys are cool with that?
Yeah, she doesn't have any shoes on. She's just in socks. That's weird.
You don't need to tell me you're in.
Yeah, let's see if we can get like an idea of what's going on. Originally, I started recording this because I wanted to show how ignorant this drunk guy was, talking about how COVID is fabricated and fake, didn't need to wear a mask, but then him yelling ching chang chong multiple times with me and other Asians on the same train, it pissed me off. I'm not trying to ruin people's lives or start something, but I'm trying to prove a point that this shit, as small and as harmless as it can be, just words happen, and it's funny how as soon as the crazy-haired Asian says something, this punk puts his mask on and goes in the corner. Well, at least nobody was hurt in that video. We've watched far too many where people have been hurt. So, content warning, now we're getting to the heart-wrenching stuff. Day 3 of the Derek Chauvin trial, Minneapolis. And yes, we're coming up, we're going to do Matt Gaetz here in just a little bit. I promise.
Right. You got your restraint hobbled.
I believe this is the Cup Foods employee who has seen the body camera footage for the first time.
Stop moving.
Mama.
Yeah,
Mama.
it's
Mama.
one of the front couches
Mama.
on my right side bag.
Mama.
Oh man, that yelling for his mom.
All right.
That always gets me.
It's not going to jail.
I can't believe this. I can't believe this. I can't believe this. I can't believe this, man.
Can we stop it right here, please?
Mama, look.
Mr. McMahon, do you need a minute?
I don't think this was the employee of the Cup Foods. I'm sorry.
us know when you're ready.
We'll just give you a moment, Mr. McGon. I'm not sure if there's water for you as well. Oh, okay. If you need a break to get some water, let me know, and we can take a break.
So I'm guessing he was a witness, and that was his first time seeing the body cam footage. Once again, this is still the prosecution's side of the case. The defense will be calling witnesses next week. I know. It does get me. Like, it makes me angry now.
You okay?
Yeah.
I've seen it so much. I'm fucking pissed about
You're
it.
feeling in this moment?
I feel helpless. I don't have a mama either. I understand him. My mom died June 25th.
Hang on just 1 second, Mr.
Let's take a 10-minute break.
We'll take a little break.
So Charles McMillan, who witnessed George Floyd's fatal arrest, breaks down in tears on the stand just after watching body camera footage. He describes feeling helpless. Okay, this is the Cup Foods employee.
What did you see the officer on Mr. Floyd? What was the relation of their two?
This is one of the employees inside the store.
George was motionless, limp, and Chauvin seemed he was in a resting state, meaning like he just rested his knee on his neck.
And what did you do when you saw that?
I pulled my phone out first and I called my mom and told her not to come downstairs, and then I started recording.
And did you make a recording?
Correct.
Did you keep that recording?
No.
Why not?
Later on that night, I deleted it because when they picked George up off of the ground.
And yeah, you bring up people are defending it. I want to point out Derek Chauvin wanted to plead guilty. William Barr's Justice Department rejected the guilty plea. Now, one has to infer from that the Trump Justice Department did not want a resolution in this case before the election. Rejected the William Barr Department of Justice, rejected Derek Chauvin's guilty plea. Derek Chauvin thinks he's guilty. So I can't believe that I'm seeing people in comment section going, "Oh, he's gonna walk." Have you paid attention? His supervisors are testifying against him. He wanted to plead guilty and it was rejected by the Justice Department. What the fuck is it? We need an investigation into what was going on with the Justice Department decision in that.
The ambulance went straight on 38th instead of going straight on Chicago. And if you live in South Minneapolis, the easiest way to get to the hospital would have been straight on Chicago. So that to me kind of made it like clear that he was no longer with us.
So you thought he had died?
Correct.
Not quite sure why that would, make you delete the video.
Oh, I just didn't want to have to show it to anyone. I'd be questioning about it.
And so after you called your mom, you started taking a video, what did you do after that?
I was recording until one of my coworkers was pushed by an officer.
And so what's... Had you seen the
I
coworker
can't
do-
imagine he walks.
He was
With all I just told you. With the
yelling
way
at
this,
folks
with the
and
way
trying to
everything
bother
has
people
gone
in the
thus
crowd
far in
again.
trial, but we don't know. We don't know what's going through the minds of the jury.
If he's breathing, see if he's okay, kind of thing.
So did he leave the sidewalk curb area and go onto the road?
Correct.
How far?
I do not recall.
This coworker of yours that got pushed, do you know how old he was that day?
I do not recall.
Is he older or younger than you?
Younger.
So, a teenager.
Correct.
And after he got pushed, did you see what happened to him or what became of him?
Yes. My other coworker just like grabbed him up and.
I mean, they already burnt down the police department there.
Correct.
Why not burn down the fucking the courthouse too?
Show you a security video from Cup Foods that shows that area.
Correct.
And that area while you were out there.
Correct.
And did that appear to depict truly and accurately the time period during which you were out there during this incident?
Correct.
And Your Honor, I'd offer then what we've marked as Exhibit 33.
Your Honor, 33 is received.
I will be streaming whenever we get to closing arguments.
33, and we may pause this.
We will be here for the verdict live. I don't give a shit what time it is.
I'm going to pause it right here for a moment. You recognize this scene?
Correct.
And
This is today's proceedings, yes.
right?
Correct.
And what were you doing right at that moment?
That was when I was calling my mom to tell her not to come down the stairs.
And if she were to come down the stairs, this is where you were living, correct?
Correct.
Is the door she would have come out?
Oh, closing arguments. This is probably going to take around 2 weeks, so we're looking about like the prosecution's case is going to be this week,
Swing open right here.
defense next week, so we might be around the weekend, beginning of a week from
And then
Monday.
you talked about a coworker who was younger than you, who came out. Is that the individual in the white T-shirt?
Correct.
All right. And
Now, court cases can hit snags that can take a little
continue to run
longer.
Exhibit 33, please.
I totally understand. But at least the trial, like 2 weeks for a trial, like at least it's not like the OJ trial that was like 9 months or some shit. It's amazing that they can get it done in 2 weeks for it to be with COVID restrictions. This is their first time doing video in Minneapolis. And with all the hoopla around it. But that's also, that kind of shows you how open and shut the case is too. The prosecution thinks they're only going to take a week.
I'm going to pause it right
Now,
here.
it could go the other way as well. If the prosecution says they've got like a weak case,
And can you describe
the defense comes up and they only take a day or two, we might get a verdict in the middle of the week.
You had walked farther over towards the scene,
Correct.
really by the door where your mom would have come out if she had come out.
Correct.
And the individual in the white T-shirt, he had stepped off the curb into the street here, correct?
Correct.
All right. And so then let's continue to run Exhibit 33, please. And we can pause right there, please, at 8:28:41. Is that the moment you were talking about when your coworker got pushed?
Correct.
And did you see it all anywhere in there where he touched the police officer?
No.
And so then you are now standing around behind that group of people, correct?
Correct.
Did you know anybody in that crowd?
My two coworkers.
All right. So right now, if you could just put like a line or a dot on where your two coworkers are.
Oh shit! I've never seen them have that kind of technology in a courtroom.
Both of those are individuals who went out during the second trip to the SUV, correct?
Correct.
And did you know any of the other people there in the crowd?
That's fucking cool.
Not at the time.
Okay. Did you know Miss Funari?
I think. Yes.
You know Alyssa Funari?
Yes.
And was she there at the time?
Correct.
Do you see where she is now?
Correct.
All right. And how did you know her?
Just through school.
And all right, so then let's continue to run Exhibit 33, please.
Well, when I was doing news around 2007, they were still wheeling out fucking VHS
Can you describe
tapes
for the jurors and what we're seeing, what's going on?
on like a big fucking TV on a cart.
One of the coworkers kind of grabbed up the other coworker and brought him back inside, and I was just yelling like, "Chill out, chill out, chill out."
And so when his coworkers came to get the young man in the white T-shirt, he went with them back into the store.
Correct.
And you were following them?
Correct.
All right, so let's continue to run.
I mean, I even worked as a fucking tech putting these systems together. But I was in the shop putting them together. I never saw how they used the tech that I was putting in their racks and stuff. And also, it was a federal
Pause here for a
courtroom.
moment, please.
I don't remember giving them giant touchscreen panels with fucking
what you were doing here.
shit they could draw
At this
on.
point, I think I was just kind of emotional, and I went to the African American that was standing there in the curb, and
Ignore
I was just
France as per usual.
like, they're not gonna help him. This is what we have to deal with. So.
Okay.
I would like to go to France. I like food. I would like to go anywhere that has food.
And
which is most places, luckily, because people
just
need to
before I
eat.
stopped it, there was a young girl there in a green shirt. Did you see her when you were walking up there?
Correct.
You remember seeing her in the store earlier?
Correct.
Did you know who she was?
No.
And you remember being the cashier?
I'm not sure that the types of meats they like
And then can we
would
continue
appease
on
me.
Exhibit 33, please?
Gabby knows what I'm saying. All right, so there you see them loading Floyd on the gurney. We're gonna see the body cam footage from Chauvin's side. After that.
One of these videos, Exhibit 40, contains a composite, so a video showing you as well as Mr. Chauvin's perspective from his body camera. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let's play Exhibit 40.
I've watched enough documentaries about North Korea to know that yes,
And is that you walking down the
they
street?
put on
Yes, ma'am.
quite the show.
Such a man, you got to have dreams for that. Like, bro, you gonna fuck around and shoot yourself. That's what you gonna do. That man gonna haunt you for the rest of your life. I just like the pole. I tried to get in the car. How you doing, man? I know.
Yeah, here's Chauvin. Here's the witness we heard from earlier.
That was 2 weeks ago. Huh? Yeah. I just hate when you get put out his neck. I know you've been thinking about it.
So that can be, we can pause it right there, but that can be difficult to hear. What was it that you were saying to Mr. Chauvin at that time?
I can't recall, but in my mind, that I said to Mr. Chauvin, in an act I think it was like 5 days ago. I'm not sure, but I know in my mind what I did say to him. I think I said to him 5 days ago, I told you at the end of the day, go home to your family safe, let the next person go home to their family safe. But the dad got to look at you as a maggot.
Okay. And so your interaction continued with him in over these two clips. Is that right? Did he move his car at some point?
Either that clip or the other clip. Yes, he did.
Okay. And then did you also have another conversation with him as well?
I think so.
And initially, did you remark about his foot on his neck or something to that effect?
I think he said his knee.
Okay. But if it's there, it would be in the video? Is that
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
All right. And again, some of these can be difficult to hear. Can we put up Exhibit 41, please?
Can you advise the fire department if they're still with you, they need to go to 36 and Park to assist with the patient.
But I feel respecting you here.
That's one person's opinion.
But no, I gotta get him. I gotta get him.
We gotta control this guy because he's a sizable guy.
Yeah,
that's Chauvin saying we got to control this guy because he's a sizable guy. And he said one person's opinion. As we've learned in the trial, it is not one person's opinion. It was his supervisors. It was the 911 dispatcher. It was all the witnesses. It wasn't just one person's opinion.
It looks like he's probably on something.
But I'm just saying, by other people, but no, I got nothing bad to say about you because you respect me, I'm gonna keep respecting you.
Right.
You have a good night. You go home safe to your family. Let other people do the same.
Okay, so there's a voice that's heard. There are two voices. Which voice is yours?
The one that when I told him I'm going to respect him at the end of the night, you go home to your family safe and let the next person go home to his family safe.
And whose voice is the other voice?
Mr. Chauvin.
And one of the voices was saying something to the effect of, I don't respect what you did, or something like that. Was that your voice or Mr. Chauvin's voice?
My voice.
Okay. And was Mr. Chauvin's voice the other voice on that?
Yes.
And what were you trying to do at that point in time when you were talking to Mr. Chauvin? Why did you feel the need to talk to Mr. Chauvin?
Because what I watched was wrong.
Wanted to give him a piece of his mind.
It's important to tell him that.
It's his first fucking amendment right. Goddamn. All right, real quick clip. This is body camera footage. You can see Chauvin right here pulling Floyd's arm as he's got his knee on his neck. You see, pulling his arm while he's in cuffs. Pulling his arm back this way with his knee on his neck. That's insane. We've never seen this. Never really got this perspective on it. Like, holy fuck. They clearly did not give a shit if they hurt that guy. All right, are you ready for the main event of the evening? Congressman Matt Gaetz, a Republican from Florida, we have found out, had an investigation launched by the Justice Department against him for alleged child sex trafficking. Apparently the charges are that he took underage girls across state lines and paid for their flights, their food, their lodging in exchange for sexual favors. Axios broke the story earlier in the day, yesterday, that Gaetz was thinking about resigning from Congress in order to take a job with Newsmax. Later in the day, the New York Times broke the story about sex trafficking. Gates goes on to Tucker Carlson, and it's a mind fuck. So Tucker, who already looks befuddled, please take it away, sir.
Just a couple of hours ago, late this afternoon, the New York Times ran a story saying that Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz is under federal investigation for playing some role in sex trafficking and potentially having a relationship with
Totally not high enough for this shit.
Very few details in major news outlets tonight about this story. We have no background on it all, and not even...
I'm glad you brought that up, Scrappy. Would you like to see a picture of Matt Gaetz? I shared one out earlier. I don't have it saved here. Let me pull it up here. He makes a lot of jokes, too. He made a joke that if he's ever in a scandal, it should be called Gatesgate. Definitely a weird person. We haven't even talked about Nestor. Good lunch table at Pace High School today. What? 8/16/17. Joked that if he was involved in a scandal, it would be called Gatesgate. Now, we haven't even got into his partner that has already been arrested for sex trafficking. His friend from down in Florida that he was involved with. And that looks like that's how the feds got tipped off to Gates's potential... what? Curiouser. What the fuck? You don't even... we haven't even gotten into the batshit stuff yet. Matt Gaetz is getting ready to go off the fucking deep end and say just like... He's getting ready to describe an episode of 24. And not even like the first couple of seasons of 20. We're talking like the fucking end run of 24 where nothing fucking makes sense. And there's like 7 fucking hill turns in one episode 24. Just you wait. And he's gonna implicate Tucker.
Any very informed questions. Instead, we've invited Congressman Gaetz on the show to respond to these stories and give us his view of them. Congressman, thanks so much for coming on. Appreciate it. So this is obviously a serious allegation. Tell us what the truth is from your perspective.
It is a horrible allegation, and it is a lie. The New York Times is running a story that I have traveled with a 17-year-old woman, and that is verifiably false. People can look at
17-year-old woman?
my travel records and see that that is not the case. What is happening is an extortion of me and my family involving a former Department of Justice official. On March 16th, my father got a text message demanding a meeting wherein a person demanded $25 million in exchange for making horrible sex trafficking allegations against me go away. Our family was so troubled by that, we went to the local FBI. And the FBI and the Department of Justice were so concerned about this attempted extortion of a member of Congress that they asked my dad to wear a wire, which he did with the former Department of Justice official. Tonight, I am demanding that the Department of Justice and the FBI...
No, this isn't a slip. This isn't a slip. He's purposely trying to fucking out like some other investigation that's going on to try to color, like... Just wait.
Release the audio recordings that were made under their supervision and at their direction, which will prove my innocence and that will show that these allegations aren't true. They're merely intended to try to bleed my family
His dad is also a former congressperson. Fun fact.
And this former Department of Justice official tomorrow was supposed to be contacted by my father so that specific instructions could be given regarding the wiring of $4.5 million as a down payment on this bribe. I don't think it's a coincidence that tonight, somehow, the New York Times is leaking this information, smearing me, and ruining the investigation that would likely result in one of the former colleagues of the current DOJ being brought to justice for trying to extort me and my family.
So a couple of obvious questions that come to mind, and again, just to restate, this just happened, don't have any other information beyond what we've already said and you have said. First of all, who is this Department of Justice former employee who's trying to extort the money from you, you say?
His name is David McGee. He was a top official in the leadership in the Northern District of Florida as a prosecutor. He currently works at the
Now, apparently it came out today that, like, David McGee is nowhere involved with anything in where he could have extorted Matt Gaetz. And that David McGee laughed about it and said, I guess Matt Gaetz is getting ready to get indicted for child sex trafficking.
Eggs and Lane law firm. As a matter of fact, one of the recordings that was made at the FBI and Department of Justice request occurred at that law firm, and the money that was supposed to be paid today that would have shown even more evidence of David McGee's work in this extortion scheme, that was foiled by the New York Times story, and I believe that's why this horrible information and these terrible allegations have been used this evening.
So and I'll get to the investigation in a sec, but you're saying that David McGee was motivated by greed. He was trying to extort money from your family. That's his motivation, you're saying?
I know that there was a demand for money in exchange for a commitment that he could make this investigation go away along with his co-conspirators. They even claim to have specific connections inside the Biden White House. Now, I don't know if that's true. They were promising that Joe Biden would pardon me. Obviously, I don't need a pardon. I'm not seeking a pardon. I have not done anything improper.
Now, remember, this investigation didn't start under the Biden administration. We need to make that completely clear. This started under Trump back in like November or October. So that doesn't make any fucking sense that some Biden administration official had anything to do with this. Why did he himself stay quiet until now? Well, I guess his argument is like they were trying to do this sting with the FBI, that they were going to catch the real bad guys. This, like, I mean, he's smart. This kind of plays into the QAnon thing, right? It's going to give them some sort of way they're going to be able to flip this around and say, like, oh, it's all part of the plan. Matt Gaetz was in on it. He was trying to catch the bad guys.
Proper or wrong. But what I am troubled by is the real motivation for all of this. You know, just tonight.
The question I posed to the chat, how many more days is Matt Gaetz in Congress? Do you think he resigns imminently? Are we saying bye-bye to Matt Gaetz?
Democrat is calling on me to be removed from the House Judiciary Committee. And I believe we are in an era of our politics now, Tucker, where people are smeared to try to take them out of the conversation. I'm not the only person on screen right now who's been falsely accused of a terrible...
Well, remember, we had the report come out yesterday that he was getting ready to accept a position with Newsvax and that he was wanting to resign. So I don't know that he wouldn't get out of there. They should remove him from the Judiciary Committee. If somebody is under investigation for child sex trafficking, I do not think they should be seated on the Judiciary Committee. I'm thinking Friday. Usually shit like that. But this is perfect though. If he's doing the QAnon thing and he's giving them a story in which he's actually the good guy, that he was going undercover. That's what Trump did. This is what religions do. They rip each other off. He's ripping off the other cult leader. I don't know that Newsmax wouldn't still want him. Nothing makes any sense. What were they extorting him for? If the investigation started under Trump, who Gaetz was in good with, how is a Biden administration official trying to extort him? But here, this is one of the excellent parts of this interview.
Democrat is calling on me to be removed from the House Judiciary Committee. And I believe we are in an era of our politics now, Tucker, where people are smeared to try to take them out of the conversation. I'm not the only person on screen right now who's been falsely accused of a terrible sex act. You were accused of something that you did not do, and so you know what this feels like. You know the pain it can bring to your family, and you know how it just puts people on defense when you're accused of something so salacious and awful. But it did not happen. It is not true. And the fact that it is the basis of this attempt to extort my family tells a lot. And if the FBI and Department of Justice will release the tapes that they are in possession of, the American people will see what is really going on.
He's seething right now. Do you guys want to go back? Do you want to see like that exact moment?
And awful, but it did not happen. It is not true. And the fact that it is the basis of this attempt to extort my family tells a lot. And if the FBI and Department of Justice will release the tapes that they are in possession of, the American people will see what is really going on.
Yes. The McGee guy is in private practice now. He is not involved with the government in any way. He was a former DOJ staffer. So I don't know what he's talking about with the FBI. Let's go back to him implicating Tucker.
What I am troubled by is and I believe that's why this horrible information and these terrible allegations have been used this evening.
So and I'll get to the investigation in a sec, but you're saying that David McGee was motivated by greed. He was trying to extort money from your family. That's his motivation, you're saying?
I know that there was a demand for money in exchange for a commitment that he could make this investigation go away along with his co-conspirators. They even claimed to have specific connections inside the Biden White House. Now, I don't know if that's true. They were promising that Joe Biden would pardon me. Obviously, I don't need a pardon. I'm not seeking a pardon. I have not done anything improper or wrong. But what I am troubled by is the real motivation for all of this. You know, just tonight, Ted Lieu, a Democrat, is calling on me to be removed from the House Judiciary Committee.
Yes!
And I believe we are in an era of our politics now, Tucker, where people are smeared to try to take them out of the conversation. I'm not the only person on screen right now who's been falsely accused of a terrible sex act. You were accused of something that you did not.
He did a good job of staying pretty stone-faced right there, but look at that brow.
You know what this feels like. You know the pain it can bring to your family, and you know how it just puts people.
He was like not blinking, and now he's like blinked several times. Like, oh my.
On defense when you're accused of something so salacious and awful, but it did not happen. It is not true. And the fact that it is the basis of this attempt to extort my family.
Oh, and he's not done dragging Tucky down with him.
Will release the tapes that they are in possession of. The American people will see what is really going on.
Yes, please release these tapes. I would love to hear these tapes, but these are part of an ongoing investigation. This was a Trump tactic that he did. Trump was like, and he would release the transcripts that proved he was guilty, and then been like, I release the transcripts. What's going on? Like, Gates knows they're not going to release the tapes. And they're probably incriminating anyway. So if he calls for releasing the tapes, it makes him look like he's innocent. He's going on attack. This is like alt-right 101. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's trying to go on the attack and put them on the defensive. He probably shouldn't attack Tucker, though.
You just referred to a mentally ill viewer who accused me of a sex crime 20 years ago. And of course, it was not true. I never met the person. But I do agree with you that being accused falsely is one of the worst things that can happen, and you do see it a lot. Let's go back to the investigation. You say that it was or is underway. There was an investigation. What is the basis of that investigation? What is the allegation? That's really not very clear from these news stories.
Yes, tell us.
Yeah, again, I only know what I've read in the New York Times.
Exactly.
I can say that actually you and I went to dinner about 2 years ago. Your wife was there, and I brought a friend of mine. You'll remember her. And she was actually threatened by the FBI, told that if she wouldn't cop to the fact that somehow I was involved in some pay-for-play scheme.
Tucker went out to dinner with one of the witnesses in this shit. Oh my God. And Gates calls him out on it on his own show. Oh my God. Gates is fucking stupid.
That she could face trouble. And so I do believe that there are people—
He's a lawyer too, isn't he?
Who are trying to smear me, providing for flights and hotel rooms for people that you're dating who are of legal age is not a crime. And I'm just troubled that—
He totally just admitted he paid for flights and hotel rooms. But like apparently his defense were, well, they were all legal. So now the question is, okay, if he was dating a 17-year-old, did he only have sex with her in states where it was legal? Because that's exactly because like the legal age of consent in Kentucky is 16. But that's what sex trafficking is. That's what the charge is. You know, if you flew her over state lines in order to have sex with her, that's sex trafficking. That's exactly what you're charged with. He is a fucking lawyer. Jesus Christ. This man is a lawyer. He should know better than to go on TV and incriminate himself.
Lack of any sort of legitimate investigation into me would then convert into this extortion attempt.
I don't remember the woman you're speaking of or the context at all, honestly. But I would like to know who. So they're saying there is a 17-year-old girl.
And this is the second time Tucker's had to like deny something and walk something back on his own show. I do not know the underage girl I had dinner with you.
Who you had a relationship with. Is that true? And who are they? Who is this girl? What are they talking about at the New York Times?
The person doesn't exist. I have not had a relationship with a 17-year-old. That is totally false.
You could have been a Republican so easy. It is so fucking easy to be a Republican. And like literally being a white man, or if you are a some kind of identity that you can sell out and they can exploit, they'll take you in a heartbeat. If you're a black man that'll wear a Confederate flag, holy shit, you can roll in the money. Look at Dave Rubin. All he had to do was say, like, oh, hey, I'm gay and I used to be a liberal. Like, they've gone too far with the cancel culture. Boom. $4 million house. Goddamn mediocre Dave Rubin.
The allegation is I read it in the New York
Times. And I encourage everybody, run for office. Run for office as Republicans. If you're listening to my show, run for office as a Republican. What the fuck is it going to hurt? Remember the trans lady that ran for sheriff as a Republican? She won the primary. Do it. Fuck the Republican Party up. Let's take them out. That's what I may very well run for Congress, and I might not do it as a Democrat. I might very well do it as a Republican, because fuck it.
In some relationship.
Go back a little bit. I've been talking over
sort
Matt.
of legitimate investigation into me would then convert into this extortion attempt.
I don't remember the woman you're speaking of or the context at all, honestly. But I would like to know who. So they're saying there is a 17-year-old girl who you had a relationship with. Is that true? And who are they? Who is this girl? What are they talking about at the New York Times?
The person doesn't exist. I have not had a relationship with a 17-year-old. That is totally false. The allegation, as I read it in the New York Times, is that I've traveled with some...
And just so you know, his buddy that he was involved with was making fake IDs for girls.
17-year-old in some relationship. That is false, and records will bear that out.
So maybe he's going to claim that he didn't know that she was 17.
How long has this investigation been going on? Do you know?
I don't know.
When were you first informed of it?
Again, I really saw this as a deeply troubling challenge for my family.
I don't know the girl they're saying I'm with, but we went to dinner with her.
Talking about a minor and that there were pictures of me with child prostitutes. That's obviously false. There will be no such pictures because no such thing happened. But really on March 16th was when this got going from the extortion standpoint.
So what happens next? I mean, you can say there is this investigation, I guess a criminal investigation. I'm not quite sure where the sex trafficking part comes in. I don't, again, for the fifth time, I don't really understand this story very well. But where does it go?
I want to reiterate, I'm not involved in it, despite what Matt Gaetz said.
Name on the air and accused him of trying to extort millions of dollars from your family. What happens tomorrow?
Well, what was supposed to happen was the transfer of this money that would have implicated the former colleague of these current DOJ officials. But that's obviously not going to happen tomorrow because the New York Times story.
So there was supposed to be a drop today.
That investigative effort. So here's what needs to happen next. The FBI and the Department of Justice must release the tapes that are in their possession that were done at their direction. Those tapes will show that I am innocent and that the whole concept of sex charges against me was really just a way to try to bleed my family out of money and probably smear my name because I am.
Yeah, down payment. That doesn't make any sense, does it?
I guess that's out of style in a lot of parts of the country right now.
Matt Gaetz, I appreciate your coming on tonight.
Thanks for giving me the chance to tell the truth, Tucker. I appreciate it.
It's a more interesting and complicated story than I knew from reading about it. Thank you very much. Matt Gaetz interview, that was one of the weirdest interviews I've ever conducted. That story just appeared
I bet.
a couple of hours ago. And on the certainty that there's always more than you read in the newspaper, we immediately called Matt Gaetz and asked him to come on and tell us more, which as you saw, he did.
Look at this smile on his face. Oh my God, this is amazing. This is after, I think this was after a commercial break or something.
Matt Gaetz interview, that was one of the weirdest interviews I've ever conducted. That story just appeared in the news a couple of hours ago. And on the certainty that there's always more than you read in the newspaper, we immediately called Matt Gaetz and asked him to come on and tell us more, which as you saw, he did. I think that clarified much, but it certainly showed this is a deeply interesting story and we'll be following it. Don't quite understand it, but we'll bring
Oh, Jesus. Okay, guys, final story tonight. Last night we did a story about White Boy Summer. We have an update on White Boy Summer. White Boy Summer is over before it even got started. So, Chet Hanks, who I didn't even know who he was until yesterday. That freaky face. I want to bust a nut on Tucker. I want to piss in Dan Crenshaw's open eye hole. To each his own, we've all got our kinks. Chet Hanks, violent split with ex caught on video. We're going to TMZ.
Threatening me with a knife?
Chet.
You're threatening me with a knife? This bitch just attacked me with a knife.
No, I didn't. Did I attack you with a knife? John,
This bitch just attacked me with a knife.
Did I attack you with a knife? No.
You think he slammed his head against like the
You pushed me.
the stairs?
Now you're trying to flip the story.
Isn't it amazing that Tom Hanks, the most likable guy in the world, has like the most Chad fucking son? I feel sorry for this dude. You got the short end of the stick, man.
Wow.
When I'm done with your ass.
Wow.
When I'm done with you.
She just attacked me with a knife.
You better get out of my face.
She just attacked me with a knife. There's the proof. She's mad because I caught her stealing. Stealing my money.
Wait, your woman was stealing from you?
her rent to him, other shit like that.
I don't like this Chet Hanks guy. I do not like him at all. I'm not down with Chet Hanks. We watched the video last night. He's like, oh, white boy summer, blah, 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 blah. Well, now your woman's fucking busting your face open. That's what you get for talking about how you're on your way to a white boy summer. Alright guys, if you are watching on Twitch, I'm going to send you over to... You know, I've never rated Andrew Shaman before. I'm not even sure I remember who that is, so let's give him a raid and see what we think. Alright guys, go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's alright to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm Justin Freakin. We will see you tomorrow night on the Troll Patrol. Live.